looking to do some awesome stuff today, and we're talking about business overwhelm. So my name is Barbara Jemmett. I'm your usual host for our 30-minute masterclass, and I'm a business strategist for women entrepreneurs. I help you to connect with your customers and to grow your bottom line, both online and offline, through specific strategies. Well, before we start, as usual, I like to offer up a comment or a quote that fits what we're talking about today. So this one is all about burnout, and it says, burnout starts with the feeling that there is too much to do, but somehow this is managed by skimping on sleep, social activities, and other luxuries that get in the way of your work. And this is by Dr. Kalinda Linz. So I hope that sets the stage for where we're going today, because it definitely is a big one for everyone. Now, is overwhelm a regular part of your business day? Let's just think about this for a second. Are you feeling overwhelmed by all the things you have to do? You might feel like every day you just there's another ton of tasks that all need to get done right now. Nothing ever gets done, and you know you're spiraling out of control. If this describes you, you're not alone. Every solopreneur, every small business owner, every freelancer, everybody in an office situation, everybody at work feels this way at some point in their career. Even if you don't own your business, though, simply juggling work and personal life can be overwhelming. You might be struggling to manage everything. You might be feeling isolated. You definitely have felt this at some time. Though it might seem hopeless right now, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. You can learn to manage everything you need to do for your business and still have time to do what you love. But you're going to have to take control. The first steps we're going to have to do to conquer this overwhelm is to check in with your daily activities. You need to take a good objective look at what your daily activities are and get organized so you can get ahead of the rush. This does take some time and planning, but it's well worth it to increase your productivity and to prevent burnout. Those of you that have ever experienced burnout, you know it's not a place you want to go to again. And those that have been fortunate enough to avoid it to date, you need to pay attention. There are several moving parts that can be reduced down to 3 pillars that tend to have an overarching effect on your overwhelm state. And those are these: managing yourself, managing others, and managing things. So we're going to talk about the 3 keys to conquering business overwhelm today. And it's about getting back in control and then maintaining that control. We can often feel trapped by the clock and the demands that are on your time. But why is that? I know we want to please others, and it is key to our success, but it cannot be at your expense or at the expense of your business. We're going to review this type of information in pillar number 3, managing things. The way you manage yourself is key to conquering overwhelm, and it's our pillar number 1, managing yourself. And it includes several key areas for focus. Pillar number 2, managing others, is all about how you can deal with other people or how you need to deal with other people. Your style here will either increase or decrease your stress and overwhelm. We'll be reviewing this as well. The point is, these 3 pillars will bring you back into alignment with your own success strategies when you master them. So let's start with pillar number 1. This is about managing yourself, and it affects both you and your efficiency. The first step in conquering overwhelm is to admit that you have a problem and the power to fix it. That's what we're here to do. So, first step, as I mentioned, is admit that you're overwhelmed, but also admit that you have the power to fix it. And that is by recognizing that you are in control. It may not feel that way right now if you're struggling to keep up with all the demands coming at you. But the first step to conquering it is to admit it. I keep saying this because you have to take this internally. Admit that you have a problem with overwhelm, and admit that you have everything you need to do to fix it. One of the first things you're going to want to look at is putting tools and systems in place that can help streamline to save you time later on. There's a number of tools and systems around this, and some of them could include software, or some of them could just, have a great paper and pen solution. Commit to putting in place tools and systems that will help you streamline. Commit to putting the time in to implement these tools. You're going to need to do it up front, otherwise you won't get to save the time later on. There may well be a learning curve, but it's all worth it if your daily operations can work like a well-oiled machine and serve your sanity the way that you need it served. Tools and systems might include software, such as scheduling software or task management software. It could just be a routine for the start of each day that includes, light exercise, a few minutes of prioritizing your day. We'll look at some of those in a little bit. Another thing we need to do is look at maintaining work-life balance. It's about working smarter, not harder. Personally, I don't believe in work-life balance because your focus is your focus. At any given time, you're focused on one object. But you do have to maintain everything around your life as well as your business. So you have to work this out. If your job is requiring too much, it can be disastrous. Instead of working harder, again, you got to work smarter. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it could be because you lack the balance between your work life and your personal life, and you're exhausted. Of course, you do have to get work done in order to keep your business afloat, and we know that. I'm not trying to say that you need to take away from the business, but are you taking away from your life with good reason? If you work too hard, you risk burning out. Remember, a number of health issues have been found to be related to burnout and stress, so you need to just keep that in mind. Do you have clear boundaries between work time and time off? If your boundaries are blurred, establish specific times for checking emails or taking care of work-related tasks. Look at how much time you spend working each day. Do you have a clear boundary? Take an honest look at your weekends and your evenings. Are you letting your work bleed into those items? Maybe you feel that it's impossible to leave your job behind on Friday afternoon, and that's okay. If this is the case, just establish times for checking emails or taking care of work-related tasks, and use those times only. Leave the rest of the weekend alone. If it's not possible for you to completely take weekends and evenings off, it's time to start thinking about how you can work smarter so that you can have the time off that you need. Because you need to take care of yourself. Unrecognized constant stress equals mental and physical health problems. There are a number of methods that you can use to alleviate stress, and you should become familiar with those. And try and keep as much of the evenings and the weekends for you and your family and your relationships. We often fail to recognize our stress, but it's essential to handle it. Each of us has a different way of expressing the symptoms of stress, and you need to clue into what yours might be. Sometimes it's physical, such as a lack of sleep or a nervous tic or a little bit of anxiety. It could be certain behaviors like chewing on your fingernails or maybe a little bit too much wine sometimes. Sometimes we just need someone else to help us identify our stress symptoms. Your partner or a good friend might recognize when you're having a tough time before you're able to admit it yourself. Try a few methods to alleviate stress, both at work and at home. At work, make sure you take a break every once in a while and get up and stretch. Take a walk outside. It doesn't have to be miles. Even 10 minutes will work. Have coffee or chat with a coworker or Get out and meet someone. Allow yourself 5 minutes of mindless entertainment when you need it. On the weekends and in the evenings, is there a gym nearby? Is there music you love to listen to? Are you a movie watcher? Or do you love to read? Choose any activity that gets you out of your daily rush and leave the work behind every day for at least a portion of it. So for your next steps here, I want you to think about what systems or tools can help you get organized. Consider your work-life balance. Designate clear times when you're off work, and those are not when you're supposedly sleeping, outside of that area. And decide or understand, how do you know when you're stressed? Identify activities to help you de-stress. Now we're up to pillar number 2. This is about managing others, because this will impact your productivity. It's not enough to just manage yourself, as you know. We all have to deal with other people to some degree. And even if you don't work in a busy office, you've got clients, business partners, customers, and other people to deal with in the course of your day. Pillar number 2, managing, it's about setting boundaries when you're managing others. You can't control other people, but you can control how you deal with them and reduce your own stress. Set boundaries, particularly if you've got heavy deadlines or projects or something like that you're working on. Set boundaries and be firm with those. Set break times when you can connect with other people for a short period. Learn to stop overcommitting. We love this one, don't we? It's natural to want to please everyone, but you need to be aware of your capacity and when you're reaching it. Learning how to say no to people is difficult for a lot of us, we know that, but it's crucial that you manage your time effectively. You can prevent overcommitting by padding your time and capacity to give yourself some elbow room. For example, give deadlines an extra day or 2. Let a client know when the job will take, how much time, but make sure you put a little bit of leeway or flex time in there. This is all about setting time limits. If you find phone calls, meetings, and discussions are often going too long, it's time to look at how you set your time limits. You can either do this explicitly by telling the colleague or the customer, not the customer, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say, of a specific meeting length time, or just be mindful of the time and be ready to wrap up accordingly. You can tell someone, we have 30 minutes for this phone call, so that they can adjust their approach. If you find that your phone calls, meetings, and discussions are going too long, tell them that we can actually set another appointment to continue, if it makes sense. I'm not saying just cut them off. I'm just saying find a tidy way. If you're in this crucial space, you're going to be making decisions about ending the call or not. However, if it is that crucial, make sure that you have a padded time around it, or that you can schedule a follow-up. So next steps here are to understand what boundaries you can set that will allow you to get a better focus. And consider strategies for limiting time in meetings, phone calls, and other discussions. Okay, so I think this brings us to pillar number 3, which is possibly the easiest pillar to help eliminate overwhelm. And it's when you actually focus on your stress and your burnout. This third pillar is about managing things and taking control of your environment. You can make simple changes that your work will be you can make simple changes that will make your work a whole lot easier to do and make you so much more efficient. That's what we're going to talk about in this section. Here's the first one. Clear the clutter. Reduce that, get rid of that stuff, reduce everything, and organize your workspace for one. Looking for things you need under piles of junk can take up an annoying amount of time, and it can be exhausting. If you reduce the clutter and organize your workspace, at least you'll know where everything is when you need it. Here are some tips for eliminating clutter. Identify what you don't need. Get rid of it or store it somewhere where it won't be in the way. Create an area for items you use every day. It should be close to your work area within easy reach. Keep your counters clean and clear except for essential items. And stock up on shelves and baskets and things like that, file folders, and use those for storage. Separate your personal and work-related items. You may find psychological benefits by reducing clutter as well. I know I do. It seems the more clutter there is around me, the more I can feel my shoulders coming up to meet my ears. I feel hemmed in. But once you eliminate that, there's such a sense of freedom, and the workspace seems to give you a powerful influence that impacts the mental state. So a clean, well-organized desk can help you think more clearly. The next one is managing time. Managing your time to accomplish the things that you have to get done. Learning some new time management skills can have a positive impact on your work life and your stress levels. You'll gain control over what you accomplish each day and how you handle all the things you need to do. Start by conducting a time audit where you monitor exactly how much time you spend each day. You can do this both for your work and your home life if you wish. Let's talk about your work day and say it's 9 hours, minus an hour for lunch, using a timer. You can time each activity that you do throughout the day. How long did it take you to check your emails, work on projects, attend meetings, phone calls, looking at Facebook, business planning, chatting around the coffee shop, things like that. You may be surprised by the results of your audit. You might find that you're spending way too much time in meetings or on Facebook rather than working on your long-term problems that can help you grow your business. Once you know where you're spending your time, you'll make the necessary changes. So a time management technique is when we learn to prioritize. Create your to-do list, because this is one of the primary ways that you can help reduce your stress when you're prioritizing effectively. It includes creating to-do lists and rank those daily activities in order from most to least important. Break them down into tasks that take more than one day, and anything after that you can break down into nuggets that you can chunk off and do. You can even put these into like time boxes. Okay, 20 minutes is answering email, things like that. If there is no natural stopping point, go to your calendar and your project list and make a plan. Allocate 30 minutes, always pad it a little bit so that you allow for a little bit of things not going quite right. And if you get completed within that time, then bonus, you got some extra time to allocate to something else. So just take a look at how this works. If you can only do one thing, what would that be? Clarify what your top priorities are and do that. And finally, when you're prioritizing, eat the frog. The stuff that is the most unpleasant to do, that needs to be done first, because there's a sense of accomplishment once it's done. The next one is to automate tasks. This is around managing things. If you can automate tasks, this is awesome. One of the first tips I'll give you is to get a robust scheduling system for yourself and work it. Don't just have it gathering dust, make sure you work it. Automation can help you clear up your schedule and your stress. If we go back just for a second to prioritizing, there's several approaches to ranking items on your to-do list, because I do understand that people do have issues sometimes trying to prioritize here. Think of it this way. If you've only got one thing to do today, or you can only get one thing to do today, it should be fill in that blank. Look at your to-do list and ask the same question of the next item. I think you're getting it. Now that you have prioritized, there are tasks that come out of that prioritization, and there's a number of tools that you can use to get those things done. Since a great deal of our work is now done online or using computers, find the software automation tools that are going to help you. So when we're talking about managing things, these are some of the things we need to look at. We need to clear the clutter and organize the workspace. We want to conduct a time audit, because that's going to be incredibly helpful. It's really empowering to actually understand what's going on in the day. I'd highly recommend that. Try time management methods that you're aware of. There are a number of them out there. But again, use a time management to prioritize and do those types of things. Develop a simple system. Keep it simple. There's no reason for it to be overly complicated. I've got 4 hours today to assign to managing my business, not client related. What will that be? What do I need to get done in those 4 hours? Just do it. And the last one is to automate tasks and research all the tools that you might have available to you. And there are a lot of them out there. So you should be able to find one that actually works for you. So what we've looked at today are these 4 items in our 30-minute masterclass. And we looked at why and what business overwhelm looks like and how burnout appears. We looked at pillar number 1, which is managing yourself. So you are going to pay attention to that. Pillar number 2, which is managing others. And pillar number 3, which is about managing things. And each one of these, if you manage these items, you'll definitely reduce your stress. You'll be more streamlined, more organized, and have time for yourself. Because if you don't, things are going to get pretty ugly, I'm sure. We don't want that to happen. So we're almost at the end, and I'd like to share with you our closing quote for today. And it is, it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. And that's from Mr. Lou Hotz. So we're at the end of today's masterclass. I hope there are some nuggets in there for you. I'm sure that there are at least 1 or 2. And I thank you for joining us. Please look out for our next masterclass, which will be in approximately 2 weeks. My name is Barbara Jemmett. I'm the founder of Your Entrepreneurial Spirit, and you can find us on Facebook or on our blog. Again, thank you for joining us, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye now.